Are you a business owner looking to secure your financial future and create a lasting legacy? I'm Leah Garcia, a financial strategist and insurance professional, and I specialize in guiding businesses with up to 50 employees on how to effectively protect and transfer their wealth. We break down silos with my unique approach, the Wall of Wealth. Imagine a seamless collaboration among your CPA, tax attorney, estate planner, and insurance expert, each playing their part in perfect harmony, ensuring your financial strategy is not just effective, but a true masterpiece. My passion stems from my own journey, from growing up on food stamps to dreaming of building community centers that empower others. Together, we'll craft a roadmap that not only safeguards your assets, but also nurtures generational wealth for your loved ones. Let's transform your vision into reality. After all, you can't measure the heart of a champion just by looking at them. Join me, and let's make your financial future shine.
And we are live. Welcome to this edition of Wealthy Wednesday. Today is going to be a lot of fun, interactive. I'm super excited about this. And my guest speaker definitely brought her golden nuggets this morning. So I know you are going to absolutely want to take some notes on this, and you're going to want to ask questions. So let me do her intro, which is incredible. Stacey Mulligan is all about helping people to grow, connect, and thrive, both personally and professionally. As a leadership team and building coordinator, keynote speaker, and storyteller, she loves sharing her journey and creating spaces where others can embrace, change, and discover their full potential. Who wants to have their full potential? Let me see. I know all of you. Miss Lisa Fabec, I know you want your full potential. After 2 decades as a full-time mom, which resonates with me because I did the same thing, Stacey found herself navigating the emotional roller coaster of an empty nest. That experience became a turning point, inspiring her to help others refine their purpose during life's transitions. As an empty nester mentor, she shares her story to show that change, while challenging, can be led to incredible growth. With her entrepreneur spirit and John Maxwell certification as a speaker, trainer, and coach, Stacey brings a practical, insightful tools to the table. She works with teams to inspire better communication and collaboration through DISC training, and helps individuals uncover their strengths they never knew they had. Whether she's on stage, with a team, or connecting one-on-one, Stacey's mission is simple: to inspire greatness, spark growth, and help others to write the next amazing chapters of their life. Wow, wow, wow. Is that incredible? Who here would like to write their next amazing chapter of their life? We have a few people who joined us this morning. Blessings. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. You truly are a blessing. You truly do have the right name for you. And then, of course, Miss Lisa Fabec, our menopause mentor. Super excited. If you're looking to upgrade your health, you definitely want to get in touch with Miss Lisa. And I'm excited because I'm doing some collaborations with her this month. That is going to be a lot of fun. And then Meryl, my good friend Meryl, great to see you. And then, of course, Miss Kendra from Wyoming. She owns Boom Tag Media. Kendra, you are killing it on your shorts. I love them. She's got all these great creative shorts. If you are looking to upgrade your social media, please reach out to Kendra. She is brilliant. Absolutely. She's truly a blessing also. And then my good friend, Chris Monastery. Oh my goodness. Chris has a story that you want to hear. His mission is to help save teen lives by helping to bring awareness to distracted driving. He shares his own journey that caused him to become disabled at a very young age. He just launched his book. Chris, please put in the chat. I know people are going to want to pick up your book. So today is going to be incredible. I don't know if you've ever heard of DISC training. Put a 1 in the chat if you've heard of DISC training. Now, I have learned about it years ago, and I do teach it to my team. I think it's a great foundation. And I got to tell you, we have about, on my platform, probably 200 different product providers. I have a huge platform. And of all of those, there's one company, I'm not going to name their name, but there's one company that is always they are so in line with what we need. The communication is incredible. The customer service is impeccable. And I learned recently that they actually teach DISC training to all of their team, and that's how they engage with all of us. And I said, wow, that makes perfect sense. So without further ado, please give it up for my incredible guest, Miss Stacy Mulligan. The floor is yours, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you. This is so exciting. This is a lot of energy. I love that. I love to be around a lot of energy. So, hello to everyone in the watching it live stream. This is my first time live streaming by myself, technically, right? Leah had to help me through the process of connecting it and streaming, but I think I'm doing it. We'll see. So DISC. Yes, DISC is delightful. I think it is the gateway to better connections. And in my case, the reason that I learned it is because I always felt rejected and always felt like I was doing it wrong and that people were misunderstanding me. And I just didn't realize that people, they're not all like me. What? Not everyone is like you? That's ridiculous. That seems so simple, but people do not hear things or process things the same way. So you might be saying something in your own way, you know exactly what you mean, and the other person is not receiving it that way. So DISC was something that I learned about 17 years ago, and it was a huge eye opener for me. It made me feel so much better about myself and about my networking capabilities and just about communication. And I have used it in every aspect of my life, my relationships at home, my business relationships, everywhere. It is, man, it's the, it's just like knowing the secret. It's the secret sauce. So, yeah, we're going to break it down and talk about how it works with.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. So how many of you know your money personality? That's what we're going to talk about today, your money personality, right? Because this is Wealthy Wednesday after all. So a few people have heard of DISC. Brian Dickerson has heard of DISC. He probably has taught it before. He's actually going to be my speaker next week. Super excited for our show, Brian. So quite a few have heard of DISC, but there are some that may have not. So Stacy, if you could just give us like an overview, what is DISC? What is this whole thing we're talking about here?
Okay, so DISC is a way of analyzing your behavior. It used to be referred to as a personality test, and now it's more into how you behave. So DISC, each letter stands for something. It's D, I, S, and C. It just happens to spell DISC. So D's are more, so if you are a D or you know one, they are probably not on this call because they do not have time for this. They're very direct. They're very short and to the point, right? They're not here because they're too busy controlling something or someone, a company. So they're direct and to the point. They're all about getting the task done. They're very outgoing. They do not have a problem telling you what to do or just walking up to you to say something. Then the eyes. The eyes are the influencers. They are, and not the influencers in the way that we know them now, like on Instagram and all of that. An influencer, someone who influences you to do something, but they make it fun. They're visionaries. They're excellent leaders as well, but they lead in a different way. They lead from, this is going to be fun. Let's do this, right? Let's create this thing and let's have a good time. They're easily distracted, and I'm an I, so some of that's going to shine through today. But you know, they're storytellers. Boy, doesn't that make sense, right? They're storytellers. So they tend to be a little frazzled at sometimes. They're like, where are my keys? Where are we going? Wherever, it's going to be fun, right? And then you have the S's. The S's are the support staff. They talk slower. They're more calm, right? They're excellent listeners, and they're all about is everyone going to be okay? How are we all going to get there? Are we going to get there safely? We, not I. D's and I's are about I. S's are about we. They're very much into relationships. That's the side they lean into, is personal relationships and everything. So do not walk up to them and ask them about a task first, because they will be offended and feel rejected by that. So you want to ask about their family or their friends or what's going on with their kids. And then the C's My favorite, I need to see season my life because I am on the opposite end of that, where I have all these great ideas, but I need somebody to help me put those into perspective, to build them for me, right? To have the details. So they're all about the task, not so much on the people side. So don't bother them with people talking. They don't want small talk. They want Excel spreadsheets. They want numbers that add up. They want the facts, right? They want the directions on how to get there and all of the restaurant responses of, on Yelp. They're reading all of that before they go. They want all the details. So that's just a quick version of how DISC works. And we'll talk about that, how it's going to relate to your money and the way you think about it and work with it.
Absolutely. I love that. And every time I hear it, it always, it's a great refresher to always hear it explained by somebody else, because I pick up things in my personality. And, of course, we think of other people. So, by the way, this is not for ammunition with your spouse or your significant other or your kids. You're just a C, it's not for that. It's just for us to learn about ourselves and know how to interact and engage with others. So I want to ask, we're definitely going to talk about the money personality. We have a few more people who've joined us. We have Miss Noni Baroni. She's got an incredible event. Sing Your Heart Out on Friday. Definitely after work week, we all need some downtime. And her favorite quote, or her famous quote, I actually think it's an incredible quote. She said, we need to flip the script and do a cartwheel. Noni, did you see the post that I did about you yesterday about flipping the script? I love that quote. I give you credit, but I don't know, I might kind of make it my own. And of course, we have Miss Sharon Rose. Thank you, Miss Gita Girl. Thank you for being here. And the great storyteller himself, Mr. Jay Pascal. Great to see you. He says, listening is an important part of storytelling. Absolutely. And Cyrus, so great to see you. He actually is an incredible podcaster, the Whisper Boy. Definitely got to tune into him. So I'm curious on what do you think? Now, I definitely am an S, but I feel like I really have a lot of D because I can get really impatient with things. Like if it's not, we don't like just to gather, just like, what's the purpose? And what's the outcome we're doing here? We're gathering, we're going to have fun. And then the S part is definitely, I like things to be neat, organized, probably, more on the introvert side, naturally. Like being with people, I love being with people, but it definitely is more energy. Like after this, I love all of this. I love the engagement, but I need some time to kind of regenerate and all of that kind of stuff. So my question to you, Miss Stacy, is can we change, or do we evolve, or do we kind of have a core and we stick with that? I really am curious of what you think about that.
Yes. So the short story to that is a long time ago when I took my DISC test, I got a little dot on a circle that was close to the D and the I because I was very direct. So it was just a little dot. And now through the John Maxwell program, it's a 30-page report, and they give you different graphs based on who you are in public, like who you think you're supposed to be, who you are under pressure, which is actually how you actually behave, right? Your natural state, and then who you think you are behaving as. And it's very interesting that they are different because, like you said, you've got all the energy on right now, but when you're done here, you need a minute. And although I'm an I that's very high energy and very, very much like, hey, this is going to be fun, I also need a break because that's a lot. But when you do get a DISC report and assessment back, you are not one or the other. You are not just D, just I, just S, just C. I love a good spreadsheet. Okay. I have a lot of them, but I also don't want to do some mundane things, which would require a check system. And like, I actually started when I was in college, I was going to be an accountant. And after my third year, I said, oh my gosh, I don't want to be an accountant because I don't want to do the same things all the time and check the numbers. I want the numbers to be right, but I don't want to do it every day. So I changed into marketing, which was probably more like my personality. But we all have a little bit of each of them. And in situations, some of them come out, but some of them are just more dominant than normal, right? Like I have to calm my eye down sometimes because S's and C's, they don't love that. I'm too much. I have my hashtag too much for some people. So I need to lower my voice, slow down, ask questions instead of just talk. And so, yeah, you definitely change and evolve through each one all the time. Yeah, all the time.
I love that. And also, and that's really in alignment what I believe, that we actually show different sides of us. Certain people can inspire other parts of us to come out. It's very interesting. Well, I'm not going to go too deep into that, but just ask the people around you what they think. And depending on your relationship, they're going to see different things, which I think it's really, really beautiful. So I love that. So definitely we got some great comments here, and I know that we're going to have some questions here. So let's talk about money personalities when it comes to DISC. Let's kind of go there.
So your personality, your behavior is your behavior, right? No matter what it is. So let's say you're making a large purchase or you're going to make a large investment, right? Since we're talking about money. An S and a C, the C is very analytical. So they're going to crunch the numbers. They're going to have some nice reports, right? Like all those extra pages that you get in your insurance policy that someone like me is just like, next, next, next. The C's they're reading them all. They're like, what is this breakdown? What does this mean? But the S's, they make their decisions, any decision, based on how it's going to affect relationships and the people around them. Because remember, they're people, they're the people side, the relationship side. So they'll also make all their decisions like that. So S's and C's, and I can see that there's quite a few S's and C's on here because they support, right? Which is why you're here watching, because you're supporters. And like I said, the I's probably forgot that there was an event, and the D's are too busy to be involved. You could be in here, you never know. But the S's and C's will take a long time to make that decision because they are analyzing all of the effects of either the purchase or the investment. The D's will make a decision just like that. They'll say, this is what I'm doing. They'll get the information they need. They'll make their decision and they'll be done. The I's makes decisions very quickly as well, but they change their mind. They say, we're going to do this. Yes, invest everything in XYZ. And then they go, you know what? I have a great idea. Let's invest it in, ABC instead. So that's sort of how the behavior comes through. And that would work the same with saving as well. I's would be very frivolous. They love to have fun. And what does fun equal? Maybe buying something new, right? Getting some new item or something shiny. I's like to be in the spotlight. I like to use superheroes as the examples so people know. I don't know if everybody knows their superheroes around here, but Iron Man, right? Tony Stark is an I. He is all about showmanship. He is about look at me, but he's fabulous, right? He runs this company. He's a philanthropist. He has all of these things, but it's always, but look at me and look at what I'm doing. And he makes decisions that affects a lot of people, but he makes them quickly and he moves on. So his support staff, Jarvis, C, right? Jarvis is like, well, don't do that, because if you do that, you're going to run into this problem. We need this much oxygen to get you to wherever. So yeah, the decisions are made for anything, even going out to eat for a restaurant. Which restaurant are we going to go to? Each personality style has their own version of making that decision, and it works the same with money and spending.
That is so fire. I love it. So let's give us the rest of the superheroes, because I'm writing them down.
Okay. All right. So they're not all superheroes, but so D, I like to use the example for D. I don't know if anybody watches Yellowstone, but oh my goodness, now his name is escaping me. He's the owner of the ranch. My goodness, what the heck? He's in charge, but we'll use a different one. So we'll use my favorite. One of my favorite movies is The Devil Wears Prada, and Miranda Priestley is she's the editor in chief, and she is all about, this is quick. I don't know why you're still standing here. Right? She gives an order and she walks away, and her tagline is, that's all. That's her code for, you're done here. Get out of my office and do the thing I told you to do. And it's not, so these are just extreme examples. You're going to have some D in you, and you don't have to be a jerk. But in that movie, she kind of is. But she gets it done. She gets it done. And then S. So one of my favorite superheroes for S is definitely Captain America. Okay, because what's Captain America about? First of all, he's kind. He's quiet. I mean, he kills people if he has to, but he doesn't prefer to. And it's all about the greater good for him. It's all about the team. It's all about the support. He's always supporting, and he's coming up with a process in order to do that. But he's very polite, right? He's all about family. Like if he were in the room with you, the first thing he'd say to you is, hey, how are your kids? How did that event go? That's what he would say, right? He's all about the home life and everything. And then for C, my favorite example, I have two favorite examples because I love Friends as well. And I think Friends is pretty much a show that everybody has seen at one point. Ross Geller is a C, because if you notice, he's always giving you the facts. You might not want to know the facts, but he's sure to give them to you, all about dinosaurs and things that nobody wants to know about. And my other favorite C is from The Big Bang Theory, and he is the furthest out on the edge of C is Sheldon Cooper. He wants nothing to do with people, and he only wants the scientific facts. And he's very happy to call you out on your mistake. No, this is not how it goes. It's 0.0001, right? And yeah, did you get this? Did you get that? Did you get this? No soy sauce, light this, extra that. So those are some of the examples. If you need a superhero for C, that would be the wizard guy. My goodness, I am just, see, the I in me is getting me distracted.
All the comments are distracting you here.
What is the name of the wizard guy that oh my god, he's Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. Yes, Doctor Strange is a scientist. He's a doctor. Very meticulous. You don't want an eye doing brain surgery on you. They could do it, but they might be a little bit more distracted. You want somebody who is like, this is exactly the part I need to extract and nothing outside of that. That's what you want in those situations. So so there's your little superhero Friends version.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I've never heard it described that way. So I really love that. And I love being Captain America. I'm going to really lean into Mrs. Captain America.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about how this impacts our money. Okay. So let's say somebody knows that they are, and I'll just go through the acronym. Say they know they're a D, right? They know that. And so they have that dominance and stuff. So they always kind of want to, what I find, and you can share with me, when I see that somebody is the D in the family, if it's two spouses, then I know they are going to be the one that is going to be leading everything. And I can't stay there and do a whole thing about their, how's your kids? How's your family? Where's your great grandmother? No, they want to get to the point. I know it's got to be short, sweet, concise. I got to address all of their things, but then I've got to also know, because the D is so dominant, I have to also be very, very aware of bringing out whoever their significant other is. And by the way, this is not always the men. There are a lot of women who are Ds also. So what would you say to somebody, what would some other characteristics? I love that you kind of gave that, somebody who is a D when it comes to their money. What things are important to them, or what are kind of some of the pitfalls that they could fall into?
So for Ds in general, status is huge. They want something that's going to make them look good. So they want their investments or their money to give them what they want, and more of a status, like, look at me and look at what I have, right? Whereas the opposite, an S, they're just looking for security. They don't want people to know. They just want to be safe and secure. They're risk takers. So they're happy to jump in and dive into something that is, maybe scary for some other people, but they'll definitely do that for a D. But you're absolutely right. Keeping it short and sweet. They don't want all the extra chat. They're actually annoyed by it. and you're right. Usually, the spouses or a couple are opposite. They're on the opposite ends of the spectrum. No matter which way they go, they're usually opposite because opposites attract.
Yeah,
But,
it's really funny. I have some couples that come right to my mind who are a D and an F. And so what'll happen is, I give all the facts and all that. We do that all really quick. And then that spouse goes off and makes coffee and gets us whatever, goes to the store sometimes. And then I get the time to sit and have a chat with the spouse, talk about the kids and the family and the chickens and all those kinds of things. So it's just really understanding that in whatever business we're working in, but also about how this impacts our money. So if we know that we are a D, we're going to be more of a risk taker and understanding that, but we don't want to be too risky, right? You need something to counterbalance that, because if we're just all risky and we're 100% volatile, then what happens? So let's go now with the I. And if you're a D and you want to share a story, I'd love to hear it. If you think you're a D or how it's impacted you. Well, okay, really quick, what could be some of the pitfalls when it comes to money that a D can face?
Well, just diving into the risk with no regard to it, because they make their decisions in a snap and they're done. So I would consider them more of a gambler when it comes to money, that they would have no problem, just rolling the dice on a craps table. I'm in Vegas, by the way, so that's why I use that, but I don't gamble. But that's something that they would do. They would just be like, yes, this looks good, I'm going to take that chance. But they can't, in money, you can't just take all risks, because look, things go wonky, right? Things go bad. But that serves them well by being able to take that risk and it's not that they're not afraid. It's just that they thrive on it and they love a challenge. They also love confrontation. So if you said to them, I don't advise that, they'd be like, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I don't know if you've experienced that before, but that's, D's have their own agenda. No one is getting in their way. And you would think that a lot of D's in the same room would do well together, but they don't, because they all want to be in charge. They're all in charge. It works if each of them are in charge of something else. Yes. Now they can go to them and say, hey, for this category, you're the expert. What do you say? And, these conversations last like 12 seconds because D's don't waste any time on that.
So this is something that occurred to me, and I'd love your feedback, is that what about the language that we should use in talking to D's when it comes to their money? Or what are some words because I do have some clients that are really high D's, and they're couples that are like that. And so what I've kind of noticed is that they like some of the things that I say about, like dynasty, building a family dynasty, and building their changing their last name forever, those kinds of things, they really spark up with them. So is there certain language we should kind of highlight, and maybe things we should stay away from?
Yes, absolutely. So for each one, the D, I, S, and C, you want to use different words because they're moved by different things. Like I said, the D is more about status. What will this give me? How will this make me look? Will I be able to buy the sports car that I want, so that people look at me, right? Like I feel good in the car. And that's what you want to look at. And like you said a dynasty, right? What kind of a legacy? Now, a legacy for your family is something you would say to an S, because they are all about relationships. But you can still say legacy to a D, but it would be more about your legacy. What did you leave? What did you do? So it's definitely more about, think about D as They want it to be about themselves most of the time, right? I mean, they get jobs done and they're getting it done for a lot of people, but when it comes to money and things like that, that's going to be all about them. It's going to be about, look at me, look at how successful I am. You can see it on me. You can tell by the way people dress what kind of, behavior, personality style they have.
Again, the disclaimer is this is not to use ammunition against your spouse. Okay. We want this to enlighten you and take it all in fun, right? Because we all have a part of this, and different things will bring out different personalities in us. And I love to use the example of my precious grandson, right? What he's going to bring out me, even as a high D, even if I was a high D, and we're still gonna. This is a precious grandson. We're still gonna. He's still gonna bring out some of the S and the I in us too. So that is so good. Tell me, guys. Are you guys picking up any of this? Is this resonating with you? Oh, let's see. I've got some good comments here. Let's see. Yeah, love the Marvel comics. This is really, really good. I love that. Was a great explanation. I love that.
I actually use that in one of my disc bundles where people can learn. They can take their test, get their assessment, and then have like an online mini course. And I use those examples in there so that people can see and resonate with each one. I find it's very helpful to put it to a specific person character that people know, rather than trying to figure out, well, is my wife, is my husband, is my friend, is my son. When they see a character, they say, oh, like Captain America. Right. Oh, yeah, that's my friend Claudine, right? Like that's how they relate. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but.
No, that was good. I love it. And Miss Gita Girl, she says she was in pre-med, switched to accounting, and ended up as a human factors engineer. Makes sense now that you're explaining it. Yeah, I agree. It's great for us to really use this. For me, I like to be introspective, and I use it with myself. And we have to give ourselves grace. Yes. Okay, we have to take this in light. It's not meant to be judgment on each other or judgment on ourselves. And really understand that your personality, understanding this can really help us if we really implement this and take these little treasures, these golden nuggets that you're sharing with us so that we can understand ourselves. Because I don't know, maybe it's just me, but have any of you ever done something and you go, why did I do that? You're like, what's going on with me, right? Okay, so that's good. So let's go with the I. What are some things that are really great that resonate with I's that like, yes, this is important to them when it comes to their money personality?
Yes. So I is on the side of relationships, but they also they tend to be in the spotlight. They like to be in the spotlight. Remember Iron Man, right? Tony Stark, he's always in the spotlight. He's doing good for others, but he's in the spotlight. So for I's, it's almost like you have to rein them in. So you don't want to have a long conversation about details with them because you will lose them at sentence number 0. They're going to check out. So you almost have to do it in quick spurts and mix in some fun, right? So if you were going to talk to them about money and you would say, hey, Stacy, because I'm an I, it's time to talk about, your future and your retirement. Okay, great. You'd start by saying something like, hey, what do you picture your future looking like? Like, what does retirement look like to you? Where do you see yourself having the most fun? Fun is a great word to use with I's because that is what fuels them. If something isn't going to be fun, they are done. They are out. You'll not even bother talking to them. They want nothing to do with it, right? So you need to make it fun for them, and you need to pepper in story time. Allow them to talk. Unlike the D, who only will say yes, no, or otherwise, or that's all. The I's want to have conversations and they want to talk. So you don't do the talking, you let them do the talking. And then listen to what they're saying about, you'll be able to tell by their stories, like what they're talking about, what's important to them, obviously. So if I were to talk, I would talk about my sons and my grandkids and And then you would know that I want to leave them something, right? Like my legacy will be to help them be better people or whatever it is, have the money, the means, and things like that. So that's probably how you'd want to uh, chat with an I. But definitely your conversation might go from 10 minutes long to 40 minutes long, because 30 minutes of it will be them talking to you.
What are some financial pitfalls that eyes can fall into? I think this is kind of a no-brainer, but
Yeah.
let's ask the expert.
Right. So eyes are very impulsive. So they make decisions very quickly. And that would be the same with money. They'll say, yeah, let's do that. And then later they'll say, you know what? I don't think I want to do that. Let's change that. They'll second guess themselves. They'll make the decision immediately without thinking. They tend to, the words come out before the brain sends the full message. So if they're operating primarily on I, that's how they're going to come in. So they're going to not commit to what they said, because they changed their mind in the process, maybe 5 times before you talk to them again. So they're a little bit high maintenance. I'm high maintenance, so I can say that. But yeah, I think that's.
Oh, I am too. I get it. See, I'm the worst kind of high maintenance though, because I am high maintenance, but I look like I'm low maintenance. So it's terrible.
That's from when Harry met Sally. He says you're the worst kind of high maintenance.
That's me.
Because you think you're low maintenance.
That is so me. That is so me. But at least I embrace it. Yeah. So this is funny. I have some clients that I could think of right off the bat who are, I believe, and so this is some of the things that I do for them. One of the things is they love to have their spending money. Like they want to have that go and do whatever money, right? That impulse
money.
So the fun money. Mm-hmm. So we set up an account that is their fun account, and they can put in whatever they decide in that. But once they've spent that for the month, then they're done with the fun. And that has really seemed to work really well. What do you think about that?
I love that. And you're absolutely right, because the I needs to feed their inner child, AKA fun. And if you tell them you're going to need to put every last dime of your extra money into savings, they'll sabotage that immediately. They will not do it. They won't. They'll actually go worse, because they'll say, well, stomp their feet and be like, well, you can't tell me. I want this thing. So they'll buy the thing. So I think the fun money account, and even calling it that, especially if you know they're an I, call it the fun money account, because they'll be all in. They'll be like, wow, yeah, let's do that. Or play money, something like that. But definitely.
Yeah. I think that is brilliant. So if you're an I, that's really critical. Set up a fun money account. And I have one client that when I met her, she would spend thousands and thousands of dollars on purses. That was her thing. And no kids, obviously. Okay. And so I didn't say to her, you can't buy this, you can't buy. I just don't believe in that. I call it a spending plan. I don't believe in budgets. I believe that word should be banished. Okay. And so I said, well, how much money do you feel like would be acceptable for you to spend on purses? And she said, like, how much money a month? She said, about 4,000. I said, okay, perfect. Yeah. So we went ahead and set up her fun money purse account, and she had that. And you know what happened is, after, it took a while, but I would say after maybe 8 months coming on to the year, she started to realize that she didn't need the 4,000 every month. And then on her own, she said, you know what, Leah, I could put in 2,000. We can start putting more money into our other things. But it was her decision and her process that she could come to that own realization. And those are things that we can implement long term.
Absolutely. Because you didn't take the fun from her, right? Like I said, if you told an I that they had to save every last dollar, they would go in the reverse and wind up spending more, because you cut them off from, their main thing, their happiness, ultimately. So I think that's great. And I think she probably was able to see, hey, I have this, or I can get that, and this money is allotted for that, and I'm good. I'm good. So I
Because
love.
so many times people think a budget is part of a financial plan, and it really is really, to me, the opposite. So we're going to take a quick intermission, and we're going to come back. And meanwhile, when we're on intermission, I want to know what questions you have for Miss Stacy, because we have her here right now. We want to get everything we can from her because she is a wealth of
Are
knowledge.
you ready to take control of your financial future? Introducing Leah Garcia's Wall of Wealth, the ultimate one-page financial plan to protect, distribute, and transfer your wealth with confidence. Whether you're a business owner or just starting your financial journey, this step-by-step guide gives you the tools to create a solid foundation for long-term success. Don't wait to transform your money mind shift. Download your free copy today at leahgarcia.io and start building your wall of wealth now.
Love it, love it, love it. So we're going to talk about the S's, okay? And I will tell you one of my pet peeves, and if you are interacting with me, if you text me, you absolutely know this, is my pet peeve if somebody just starts barking orders at you. Leah, where's this? And how do I get this? And it's this. No, you must greet me first, because the first thing I will do for you is happy Wednesday. How are you? I'm always going to greet you, and then we go into the conversation. So I've trained all my clients. They all know that. They're like, whatever day it is, oh, it's Monday. Happy Monday, Leah. How are you? I'm great. How are you doing? Okay. Now what's going on? So let's talk about us S's.
Yes. So S's are exactly that, what you just said, right? It's about relationship first. If you need something, you cannot start with, I need this. So D's and I's tend to do that. And C's will do that as well, but they'll be looking for facts and details when they ask you. But remember, they don't really do peopling. They prefer not to people.
No people.
They don't want people. So as far as S's go, they're going to take a long time to make their decisions because they have a process. Whereas D's and I's have no process. They just have instinct or impulse. Instinct for D, impulse for I. And for S's, it's all about security. So that is their biggest fear, is lack of security in anything, in a job, in a relationship, in money. So they need to know everything's going to be okay. I used to sell houses, and I would say to my clients, everything's going to be okay, because it's a lot. It's a lot through a process like that. It's so much. And I would always remind them, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, we're going to take care of that. This is the next step, right? They need to know the process. So you want to bring them in on the process. And since you're an S, it's easier for you. So you're already talking quietly, right? You're not in anyone's face, right? D's and I's will get in your face. They get close. They are loud. They're fun, but they might be too much. And so you'll want something that's going to be very security driven. And as far as the legacy, again, they'll want the legacy for their family, not for themselves and not for what they've done in life, but to legitimately, pass that on to their family or their friends or an organization that they love, right? But it's all about people and how it's going to affect people and relationships. So you'll lean into that with all of the way you speak. You'll never say to an S, you'll look really sexy in that car.
Well, that's where the D comes in, because I do want to look sexy.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, you won't lead with that, because you just won't. But yeah, S's need time to decide.
Yeah. And so for me, growing up, there was a lot of chaos in my family. I grew up on food stamps and welfare, poverty, gangs, drugs, all of that. And so I was the oldest of 3 girls. And so I had to step into that parent role. So I had to make decisions. I had to that. I don't know that was maybe even really my natural personality, but I had to do that because it was a matter of survival. If I allowed my mom to go out and have fun all weekend, then we would have no money for food. So that's where really that came from. And then I realized that, being really high D, sometimes for me was getting me into some trouble. And I'm not going to go too much into that because that's a whole nother episode.
That's a different episode. But can I just point out to you that you were put in charge, and S's are in charge all the time. They run departments. They run them politely. Like, think of your boss as being Captain America. Hey, you know what? It'd be great for the team if you could do this. Oh, well, let me do that then, right? But you were after what was great for the team, but the team was your family. You were supporting your family even at a young age. So even though you made decisions, and sometimes they were probably hard, they weren't necessarily D. It was still S, but they were coming from, because S's make decisions and they give orders, they just give them nicely.
Oh, I did give them nicely. So you're seeing me now. I was nice. Okay. I was not a nice little kid. I really, because it was,
Right.
it really was. I mean,
yeah.
Like I said, that's a different episode. We could definitely do
an episode, and I'm probably not the guest for that one anyway.
So what are some things that S's could get themselves tricked up with when it comes to money?
Yes, here's a good one. Not making a decision at all, not jumping in because they're worried. And the fear and the worry and the lack of security will keep them from making the move. They'll wind up into an analysis paralysis, and it's difficult to make a decision because they're afraid they're going to, ruin it for whoever, for their family, for themselves. Yeah. So that can trip them up because they won't take the step. And you can't.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can't push them either, because that will just push them right away. But you can gently nudge them, and my phrase, it's going to be okay. You might need to do that with them because they need to know that there's security, that it's safe. They might need baby steps. Hey, we're going to start with this one little thing. And that way they can see, hey, I didn't drown. I didn't lose all my money. I didn't, go down with the ship. Okay. And so little steps. You're not going to find an S who just goes all in with everything. They won't do it.
Yeah, I like the baby step approach. I do that anyway. So that's really good. But then I have to really kind of modulate it and understand that when I have a D, that they're like, you're going too slow. Your roll is too slow for me. Let's go.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. So now the C's. We want to talk about the C's. Do we have any C's here?
Yes, I saw a couple SCs that came up.
Yeah, I did see that too.
In some kind of a support role, because they're supporting in some way, right? But they also have now the relationship side and the task side. So SCs are fabulous. I need a lot of SCs in my life because I am an IS at this point. So I'm all about people, and I lose all of the detail side sometimes. So, but yeah. Hence not setting up the StreamYard thing prior to. But anyway, we won't talk about my problems.
No.
So C's, they don't want small talk. They want security. They want facts. They want sure things. So that can be difficult because most of the time in finance, there's not a sure thing. Yeah, I see Brian's comment. He says he's a CD. So he's all about task, give me here's the details, here's the facts, now do it. Right. So yeah, he might be clobbering a lot of you SCs as well. Sometimes, Brian, don't clobber people as much. They don't receive it the same way. But yeah, C's, they also take a long time to make their decision because they're analyzing, and guess what? There's always more to analyze. There's always more research. There's always another Excel spreadsheet. There's always another list of numbers. And it could go on and on and on for them because they feel like it's never ending. If now go back to thinking about Sheldon, right? Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. He gets into a circle sometimes because he can't get out of it. Right. He made a chart once, and it was like a little graph that was supposed to give him the answer, and he kept going in a circle because the answer. So he just kept going and going. And that's what can happen in when you're talking to a C. But remember, for them, it's not about relationships. So it won't be about that. It'll be like, how much money will make you feel secure in your future? Right. How much do you need to do the things you enjoy doing? Because they're going to be different from I and S and D.
Wow. This is so good. You've made me thousands and thousands of dollars.
I'm glad.
Because,
I'll send you
yeah,
the bill after.
definitely.
Just kidding.
Because what I'm realizing is that, listen, I talk about wealth without risk. I believe that we can get really freaking stinking wealthy without ever risking our money. I need to talk to more C's.
Yeah.
I need to talk to more C's because they don't want that. So what are some of the pitfalls financially if we are a high C that we have to be aware of when it comes to our own spending plan, when it comes to our own investing?
Yes. So C's tend to be savers. So they will not allow themselves any money to do anything. So you might have to lure them into a spending account, and you might have to call it something different for them. Maybe it's
Yes.
I don't know, maybe it's their whatever their hobby is, maybe that's what it's for. But you almost have to entice them into doing that, because they'll tend to just save and not live. And you don't want
Yes.
that either. But they'll save.
Yeah.
They're savers. And if they're married to an I, the I's always out spending all the money because they're like, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think
Interesting.
Mhm.
I have several couples that are both C's,
Mhm.
several that have been with me for a while. And that's absolutely true. Like, even though they've got plenty of money and their money is safe and they're growing their money and they've got all that and they've got the trust and everything, they're always like, oh gosh, it's 50 cents for the extra guacamole.
Exactly. Right, because they're
So,
constantly calculating.
yeah. So how could I encourage somebody who's a C to reward themselves? Or how can we, if we're a C and we don't reward ourselves, and
Right.
not that we should do things that are frivolous, I mean, unresponsible, right? We still want to be responsible,
Right.
but absolutely, we got to take care of ourselves. So is it more self-care? Because that's kind of some things that I can get them to do. Some things like get the massages, that kind of stuff. Self-care things seem to really be the thing that they will kind of spend a little money on.
Yeah, I mean, if we'll use the example of Sheldon, right? What does he like? He likes comic books, right? He wants a Lego set, and I'm not going to say that people want that, but something similar to that. What is their comic book store? What is their Lego thing that they made out of a billion pieces? What is that for them? And then use that as their, hey, part of our financial plan is to have money for this, for future, for retirement, and for living, and whatever category you want to use that in. But yes, they will become obsessed with the saving, and remember, adding it up and every penny, and they
Right.
might often get caught up in that
Yeah.
and that analysis. But they also will take a long time to make the decision, to take the leap. Is this the right one? Am I missing out? Did I make a mistake? Could I have made a penny more? Right.
Yeah.
So
No,
you have to give them the
absolutely.
courage for that.
Absolutely. I get it. I get it. So we're kind of winding down here. I don't know where this hour went. Like, it just flew by. But you've done so much and you're such an inspiration. What can we expect to see for you in this next year as it's 2025 and our year to rise up and thrive? What's on the horizon for you, Miss Stacy?
Well, in a couple of weeks, I'll be speaking at StoryFest, which is this fabulous get together with amazing regular people who just speak and tell their story. And this one happens to be about surrender. It's in Irvine, California. So if any of you are near Irvine, California, that's where we'll be. And I will be talking about my story of surrender, which kind of goes hand in hand with my whole empty nest gut punch, but just sort of a process and how I've surrendered to a lot of things, and to God, obviously, not and to, but to God. So that will be part of my story. But I am doing workshops for leadership and how to, become the leader that you were really meant to be. And I do incorporate DISC into that because I feel like DISC is such an important way to understand each other and to not take offense and to have smoother relationships. And I know, Leah, you said don't use it against your spouse, but use it because it helps both of you. And, don't use it for evil, right? Don't be the bad superhero. be the good one and use it for good. But yeah, so I'll be there, and I have this wonderful thing that I just started called the Leadership Academy. And that is where just a few people get together over 4 months, and we really dive deep into their leadership. So they could be an entrepreneur, just they could be running a team in an MLM. They could be running their household, but they could also be in a position at a company where they're like, you know what, I want to level up and I feel like I'm not being taken seriously, or I need the skills to get me beyond where I am. So I just started that too. But
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
And
because with great power comes great responsibility.
that's
Spider-Man.
right. Yeah, Spider-Man's good. Where would he go in? He's a little bit of an eye, because he's a little flighty sometimes. He's like, well, and now what? Right? He's often confused. What's happening?
That's so good.
Yeah.
So how you've got a lot of friends that you've made here today. And by the way, if you're here, shout yourself out, share what you do. Somebody's looking for you and what you do. If you've got an ebook, you have a mastermind course, you have something coming up, put in the comments, because someone is looking for you. And speaking of that, Stacy, how can people reach you? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Yes, so the best way, probably since we're on LinkedIn, is to just message me here so we can have a conversation. But I did want to offer any of you who wanted to take a new DISC test or a test for the first time, I have a link I can put in, and you can use a certain coupon code so that you can get it for a discounted price. And yeah, then you can see it's pretty eye-opening, and I think you'll enjoy it. So I can put that in here. I think I can. Oh no, it doesn't allow me to put my link.
You might have to do it afterwards, but afterwards, please do that, because I know we're going to have a lot of people who are going to want to take advantage of that. And you'd offer that to me, and I got a little. I think the D got in the. I'm not really sure, but anyway, I'll get to it.
It's okay. You can go to stacyspeaks.com and then just go to the DISC assessment category. But I'll put the link in here so it's easy to get to, and the coupon code.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, that's going to kind of do it for us. And Jay, yes, really quick, this quick question, Stacy, if you could kind of go over that for Jay. I think that he just is popping on here. What does DISC and what does it stand for?
So yes, DISC is a behavioral assessment, and it basically puts you in a couple of the categories. The DISC stands for each letter, so it's D, I, S, and C. So each letter stands for a certain type of behavior. So you could be a DI, a DS, you could be all of these combinations as well. And yeah, so you can actually get some information from the website where you can see what DISC really means, and it'll spell it out for you. Make it a little simple.
That's awesome. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us pretty much. I do have a quick video, and then I'm going to come back for my closing thoughts and my golden nuggets. So don't go away after our quick intermission here.
Hey there, I'm Leah Garcia. Have you ever wanted a career where you truly make a difference in people's lives? I'm building a team of driven financial and insurance professionals, people who want to help families and businesses protect, distribute, and transfer their wealth with confidence. If you're passionate about guiding others to achieve financial security, then you're exactly who I'm looking for. Join my supportive, growth-oriented environment and unlock your full potential. Ready to take the next step? Visit leahgarcia.io and let's start building your future together.
This was an incredible conversation, Stacy. You definitely brought the value. You definitely shared a lot of great golden nuggets. I would say my biggest takeaway, my biggest golden nugget is really using the superhero analogy. I've heard a lot of different things, certain fish, like people use fish and different things, but are animals, but I really like the superhero. I just think that we all need to step into our inner superhero. So I absolutely love that. And just understanding, like, the more that we know ourselves, really the more that we can really relate to and give our best to others. And really, I always say give ourselves grace, right? To absolutely give ourselves grace, because sometimes it's easy for us to say, well, I didn't do this, or I'm so much like that. And I'm going to give you an example. When I was little, my mom always told me that, gosh, Leah, you are just so stubborn. You are so stubborn. Okay. You're just so stubborn. And, I always thought, wow, I'm just so stubborn. And then I realized, no, I'm determined. Right. So I flipped the script on that. So if we can really lean into whatever our personality is, there's all going to have things that are wonderful about it. And then there's going to be things that are a little bit more challenging about our personality, and just understanding that so that we can give ourselves grace and accept that there is actually a lesson in all parts of us. All parts of us are needed. We need the D in us. We need the S in us. We need all of those parts so that we really can be our true self.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Stacy. This was fun. I enjoyed it for sure. I got a ton of notes, and I'm definitely going to take the DISC assessment. So we appreciate you and everything that you do. And that's going to do it for us. Remember, this is your year to rise up and thrive in 2025 and make it the best year of your life. If that's you, I'd love to talk to you. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Wealthy Wednesday. Remember to like, comment, and share this with somebody who needs to see this. Go back and watch the replay. It's available on my YouTube channel. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the